now at our 2016 Mint State 70 Silver Eagle Complete Mint Set. Now, we've got a price break, almost a $200 price break, in fact, in tonight's show.
This is a special coin set. This is a special coin set. I've already sold about a dozen of these. Let me explain to you why. The United States government, okay, the United States government was making secret silver eagles starting in 2000.
Wait. Did you say secret?
Secret silver eagles.
This is interesting.
I kid you not. I couldn't make this stuff up.
I'm like, wait a second.
Okay, I'm not that inventive. The United States government, because in 2008, you know, there were some economic problems about the world.
Yes, for sure.
People rushed to collect American silver eagles. All of a sudden, the production of American silver eagles went to the moon. They went from 5-6 million coins a year to 40 or 50 million coins a year. The United States Mint and the West Point Mint has been making the silver eagle for quite some time. The West Point Mint could not keep up. So starting in 2011, we had what were called supplemental minted coins. The San Francisco Mint helped out. 2011, 12, 13, they made extra coins at the San Francisco Mint. The boxes that the coins came in were then marked with straps that said San Francisco Mint on them. And so we had lots of certified coins that said they were from the San Francisco Mint. Now here's how an American Silver Eagle comes. Now this box is empty or it would be weighing 50 pounds. And it says United States Mint. These are 2017 American Silver Eagles, and then they have straps on them. And the straps for 2011, 12, 13, 14 said San Francisco. So we'd certify those, and we had an S parenthetically that said these were from the San Francisco Mint, and all the other coins, if they didn't come out of this strapped, sealed, guaranteed sealed box, were just considered to be West Point minted coins. Well, what happened is they stopped doing that. So they said. The United States government kept making them not only at the San Francisco Mint, but at the Philadelphia Mint as well, but wouldn't tell us. They denied it. But some enterprising young numismatic journalist, and understand I had no idea that such people existed, through the Freedom of Information Act, requested from the United States government, have you made additional American Silver Eagles at the Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Denver Mint, and Philadelphia, West Point, San Francisco Mint? And if so, how many? What are the box numbers? And the United States government, because they have to do that, say, yes, we have. And we did not do this. We didn't even know that these coins existed until 2017. So we get the box numbers of these coins. They, in 2015, only made them at the Philadelphia Mint. And if it's possible, I think we have it in there. We have the 2015 P-Mint American Silver Eagle, the first one that they made at the Philadelphia Mint. I've got a few of those coins that they made from 2015 in Mint State 70, and they're $4,500, okay, on HSN.com. I think I have the item number here, I suspect. $4,500 for the 2015. And then in 2016, they said yes. They made them not only at the Philadelphia Mint, but also at the San Francisco Mint, secretly. Now understand, these boxes back here, as soon as they have been cut open, they can no longer be guaranteed to be from Philadelphia. So not only were the Philadelphia and San Francisco coins exceptionally rare, the vast majority of the boxes were opened up and nobody had any idea. Well, the box number may match. Once the seal is broken, they can never be certified and never be guaranteed. So what you end up with is two of the rarest silver eagles ever made by the United States government. This has been one of the most incredible sets of coins ever made by the United States government. And I have it at $200 off. Someone I think literally just bought 10 sets, quite likely a dealer, because these coins simply do not exist in the marketplace. The 2016s. They simply do not exist because the boxes, the vast majority of the boxes, and they were rare anyway, only about, you know, several 100,000 coins made out of 40 million anyway, but the vast majority, 80, 90, 95% of the boxes were opened up because we didn't even know about them until 2017. So it is only the boxes that were still sealed. So not only did we know the box number, but once you cut them open, there was some additional information inside that matched the outside, so there's no tomfoolery that's out there. And you can only buy these coins certified, because otherwise there's no way you can know that they come from the San Francisco and the Philadelphia Mint. All the ones, if they're already open, become de facto West Point Mint coins. Now the key to this is not only are these the 2016 complete set, but that they're certified perfect. 2016 happened to be a bad year for certification. So you have these coins and you have them certified as well. I believe that I have basically the vast majority of all of these coins in existence in Mint State 70, and I've got about 200 sets. Okay, I've got about 200 sets. Here's the other thing. They are a customer pick. When I had some, the last time we sold them last year, when this information first came out at $9.99, it was a customer pick. This is the very first time I have ever done a price break, and it is only for this quantity that I have got in the system right here, right now. This is it. This is a one-time opportunity to get this set at $799. You have to understand, when you look at the rarity of these in terms of how many are made, how many exist, how many are out there, in terms of Mint State 70, 2016 Ps, and the 2016 S's. There is, the only other coins that even vaguely come close to this are going to be coins that are like the 2011 25th anniversary American Eagle. Those are $1,100 a piece. These coins are 5 to 10 times rarer than that in this condition. So not only do you have these secret silver eagles that the United States government just refused to tell us about. They refused to even acknowledge their existence until they were forced by an inquiry by the Freedom of Information Act. And like I said, we didn't even know, well, they were making these coins in 2015, 2016. We didn't even know of their existence until 2017, where they were forced to tell us they'd been secretly making American silver eagles. They'd been secretly making American. So there's the 2000.